This is the Almost Timely newsletter for July 3rd, 2022. What's on my mind this week? Well, you are the one you've been waiting for. The reactions I got to last week's newsletter, the political one, have been all over the spectrum, from seething rage. One person wrote, "I thought you were smart, but you're so," followed by this long string of profanity, to outright praise that belongs in a house of worship. There was a common theme, though, in many of the responses. Thanks for sharing ways we can help. This week, I want to dig into that a bit more, inspired by your responses. Every organization, every cause, no matter where you are on the political spectrum or what you believe in, needs help of some kind. And every person, like you, who is able to earn money from your skills can donate those skills to an organization. Even if it seems at first that there's no obvious connection, if someone else is willing to pay you for it, a cause-based organization desperately needs it. This is something that one of the YouTubers I follow, Beau of the Fifth Column, refers to as the rest of the spear. In military parlance, the tip of the spear refers to the people who are most visible in the military, the warriors out there with their guns shooting things and stuff. But behind them is a massive apparatus that makes their efforts possible. An army can't fight without food, without cooks, logistics, trucks, supplies, construction, the many, many, many things that let warriors wage war. The same is true of any cause that you believe in. The people who are visible on the front lines, out there protesting and such, or doing all kinds of activist stuff, being on the news, they have a support mechanism. They need a support mechanism of some kind if that cause is to be sustainable, if it's going to try to last for a long time and achieve big things. It needs the same kind of support mechanism. And that's probably where you and I come in, right? You may be on the front lines, and if you are, hats off to you. I am not a front lines kind of person. Let's look at a few examples, real mundane examples. I'm headed over to a friend's house tomorrow to help with her email newsletter. Not the content, but the infrastructure powering it. She didn't set up the deliverability protocols necessary to make her email marketing as best as possible. And it's hurting her open rates. They've gone down 75%. The fixes for this, for what's gone wrong, are fairly straightforward, but very arcane if you're not an IT person who has knowledge of how DNS works and how deliverability works in email. And it's not, again, it's one of those things I wouldn't expect a marketer to know. It's an IT function. If you do it right, the difference can be like a 2x increase in email marketing performance overnight, because you're just making changes that essentially lets email marketing software say, I am who I say I am, please let my email through, right? And a lot of companies, things don't set this up right. They don't do it right. So I'm going to go over and make those changes. Now, could anyone do this? Yes, though you'd want to be careful, because if you screw it up, you might accidentally remove yourself from the internet entirely. That happened to Facebook. Now, how many causes and nonprofits rely on email to get their message out and solicit donations? Based on the contents of my inbox, I would say 100% of them do, right? They all use email heavily. How many of them have done this arcane little bit of housekeeping, of IT housekeeping? Probably not many. And here's a key point. As someone who has worked in nonprofits before, the smaller an organization is, the more desperate their need is. A gigantic nonprofit like the Red Cross should have its ducks in a row and its IT infrastructure together. Their email deliverability should be all set. I mean, though, like corporations, it's amazing how badly some of them are run. But the smaller an organization is, the less help it typically has, and the more your help is needed. Feeding America, probably all set. Your local food pantry, and probably lucky to even have a functioning website, much less email deliverability protocols. And that means for all their efforts, they're not earning as much as they could be without your help. With our help, we can make these organizations more effective. An improvement in email deliverability sounds boring, right? It sounds going to be something that you put on a big sign and carry it around at a rally, right? It's not going to make anyone feel good, but an improvement in email deliverability directly translates into more money and more support for the cause because their email's getting through. So even if you're not on the front lines, you're enabling the front lines. You're helping make the work possible. What do you have to bring to the table? Are you an IT person, a musician, a designer, a writer, a WordPress expert, an accountant, a cook, construction person? Whatever your skills are, if people are paying you money for it, you have something to offer to the cause of your choice. Here's another example. I manage the Google Analytics accounts of dozens of organizations, including several pro bono organizations and people. Many of the pro bono folks have no budget for marketing at all. But because I believe in what they do, I'm happy to help out by keeping their analytics instances running smoothly. In turn, they make better decisions about their marketing and where they spend the very, very limited budgets that they have. Again, running someone's Google Analytics account, it doesn't look like the person in a parade marching with a sign or the person, all chained up and being dragged away by the police or whatever. It's not dramatic. It's not exciting. The 6 o'clock news isn't going to cover it. Video of somebody sitting at their keyboard typing. That's not compelling news. But it enables those marches, those activists, those causes. It helps move the ball down the field. Even if it's not super exciting, it's helping. A third example, I volunteer with the Mautic organization, the folks who make the open source software that powers this newsletter, among other things. It's like an open source version of HubSpot. They just had their annual conference, and they put out a call for folks to help edit the videos and of all the sessions. I am no Hollywood pro, right? But I do know my way around Adobe Premiere and Adobe Audition well enough that I can produce coherent, clean session videos from the raw footage. I processed probably a couple dozen sessions of them last month. Why? Because I believe in their software and I had the ability to help. This example is really important because it illustrates you don't have to be awesome at something to help, right? You don't have to be the best in the world to make a difference at a cause. You just have to be better than the alternative, which again, for many nonprofits and causes, is they have nothing. They have nobody to do the work. So even if you're a novice, as long as you're not actively harming the organization, you're helping. You're making a difference. You're moving the cause forward even just a little bit. The point of all this can be summarized by a line from the movie Frozen 2, one of my favorite movies. You are the one you've been waiting for. The power to create change, to advance the things that you believe in, is in your hands. If somebody pays you money for it, it's valuable, and that skill can be donated to the causes you care about most. Don't think that just because you can't be on the front lines doesn't mean you can't play a vital role. Also in the newsletter this week, besides the Google Analytics 4 course that I'm relentlessly promoting, I'm not sorry about that, I recommend the piece on brand strategy, on personal brand strategy. We did a walkthrough on Thursday on the live stream of my personal brand strategy framework, and folks have said it was very helpful. So please go check that out. It's the first link in the In Case You Missed It section in the newsletter. We've also got some stuff on brand considerations, power and responsibility, automation and AI, and so on and so forth. For jobs this week, we've got a new web analyst position at AAA, growth marketer at Pipe Candy, data analyst in marketing at Eleanor Health, senior manager of digital product analytics, Brooklyn Data, director of marketing operations at Cradlepoint, and optimization consultant at And Digital. So lots of opportunities out there still in the marketplace, even though there are some substantial layoffs happening in certain sectors of the economy. There's still many more jobs than people. So be sure to check that out. Let's see what else we got in the news here this week. Engaging TikTok followers, measuring share of voice by our friends over at Convince and Convert, guest posting and SEO, some looks at deep learning libraries, sentiment analysis of tweets, and getting your data strategy right. Upcoming events in exactly 1 month. I will be at MACON, the Marketing AI Conference in Cleveland, Ohio. Use discount code PEN150 for $150 off any conference ticket. I'll be driving out there because the airline system, the air travel system right now is totally hosed in the USA. Content Marketing World in September, Marketing Profs in October, and HeapCon in November. That one I'm looking forward to. That will be in Belgrade, Serbia, a place I have not been yet. So that's the news for this week. If you have feedback, let me know. Happy to answer questions you have either in the newsletter or during the week with the You Ask, I Answer series. As always, thank you for tuning in. I hope that if you're in America and you're observing the 4th of July holiday, that you come out of the holiday able to count to the same number on your fingers and toes that you started the holiday with. If you have less, that means it was an interesting holiday. If you have more, that means it was a very interesting holiday indeed. But thank you for your time and your attention. I'll talk to you soon. Stay safe. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.